Hi guys, I'm Maudlin. Welcome to Shining with Nature. So today, as we think about Thanksgiving and the holidays, and you guys know that I'm plant-based, and so I like to really focus on nutrient-dense foods. So I'm going to show you a few of my, maybe three of my seasonal blend spices that are very nutrient dense, that are a great complement that you can incorporate into your Thanksgiving and holiday dishes. So I cannot wait to share that. I just actually picked the thyme and the rosemary from the garden right there. And so I'm going to show you how I mix my seasonal blends, and they're all powdered. So let's go. Okay, so my first blend involves a lot of mushrooms. So what you're gonna see me do is blend dehydrated mushrooms that I dehydrated a few days ago, and I'm going to pulverize it into my little spice mix, and you're going to see that. Okay, so I have my little station here. Again, these are dehydrated mushrooms. It's a combination of king oyster, oyster, portobello, and white button. So that's all dehydrated a few days ago, and I'm going to be mixing it here to get a powder. So before we mix, I wanted to say that I'm using a lot of organic spices, but only the dry basil, which is here. My basil plants were very productive for the season, for the past season. So this is all the basils that I was able to dry. I think it took me about 3 days to get to get all of it dried and into this. I had this container in a smaller one that came about, like, maybe about a quarter up. So this is from my garden. I also have thyme and rosemary that I'll be using in the next few seasonings, but at least two of the herbs are actually from my garden. And when I can't get it from my garden, I actually use this company, the Spice Way. It's on Amazon. I'll leave link down below if you're curious, and their stuff is very good. So I have here tomato powder. I have habanero powder, which is very spicy. I have smoked paprika right here. I also have some bay leaves that I'll be incorporating into my other seasonings, and I have nori because I'm going to make a seafood spice blend. And so I don't keep them in these packages, guys, because this is really for packaging and delivering. So what I do is I would then transfer them into containers. So it's always a good idea to just, and label them whenever you can. So that's what I have here. Let's get mixing. Okay, so once you mix your mushroom, it should be like this, somewhat very fine. Once you ground your mushroom, it should look like this. It smells, if you like mushrooms, you'll love this. You love the smell. It kind of can get messy, powder everywhere, so you have to be careful. But it looks like this. And now I'm going to use another bowl to mix everything. Okay, so I got my mushroom blend in here, or mushroom powder that I just blended in here. To that, I'm going to add, we like ginger, so I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of ginger. And if you don't, you can, adjust it to your own taste. We like a little bit of a kick, so I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika. I'm going to add what should be about a 1/4 quarter of a teaspoon of black pepper. Might have gone a little bit heavy in on that. I'm going to add, we also like basil. I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of basil, dried basil leaf from the garden. I typically don't add salt because salt is one of these things that I really like to add when I'm cooking. So you'll see me leave salt out of many of these things, but it's your seasoning. That's why you should make it however it works for you. So you start to incorporate them just using a spatula, and it should come together. It is very simple, but very nutritious because it's, you know, organic, fresh seasoning, and some of it from my garden. So it's gut friendly, you know, when you eat local. And I might even add a little bit of the habanero powder because we like a little bit of kick. And when I do that, I usually just add, it's really hot, so I have to measure it properly. So I usually just add maybe about, again, 1/4 teaspoon because we like a kick. So you can make this recipe however it works for you, but the point is to be nutrient dense and know what's in it. So my seasoning is well incorporated. I'm going to place them into these glass containers. I usually make about enough for that lasts me about a week, but since we're approaching the holiday season, this probably will last me a couple of days. Actually, it usually lasts me 2 weeks in these jars, but this is probably going to be a week or a few days. So to make my life easier, I'll just get something like this that I also got from Amazon and place it in here and just pour it. Pour the whole thing in there. That way you don't get any of that mess or spill, and it just comes out beautifully. As you can see, I hope you can see here. It just comes out beautifully. And that will be our mushroom Umani seasoning that is homemade and ready to use. Okay, let's get to the second one. Okay, so our second blend is the all-purpose seasoning. It is also important this time of the year. And again, my point is to make it nutrient dense. So sometimes I will have a little bit of mushroom powder. I'll add it to it, but this time I decided not to because I will probably use these seasonings separately. But it calls for onion powder, and I'm using store-bought because I was not able to grow onions successfully. I'm still going to be trying next season, so you get to see me trying. So I am adding about 2 tablespoons of onion powder, and it's granulated. And I already have my dried thyme and rosemary in there that I collected from the garden and dry them just before this. To that, I'm going to add 1/2 tablespoon of ginger because we love ginger. Again, I'm just showing you what I make. You can add or leave whatever you want. And this is, again, basil from our garden. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of that because, again, I love it. Turmeric. Should he go into tussle with that a bit because I didn't open the, I forgot to open it. Okay. All these are not your traditional ingredients, but the point is to make it nutrient dense and work for your body, and we're plant-based, so we need it to be as nutritious as possible and just, you know, help our guts, help our bodies. So now if you have turmeric anywhere, you need to pair it with black pepper because it helps you to absorb more of it. I think by maybe 1,000 or 2,000%. So I usually just eyeball the the black pepper. Smoked paprika is optional. It's completely optional. I usually just add about half a teaspoon. Okay, I shut off the camera because I had to sneeze, y'all. These things, sometimes they make you sneeze while you're blending them, especially if they're potent. And like I said, I order from these companies and they're really organic, so you're getting really fresh quality things. So the last thing I'm going to add here is some tomato powder. This may not be traditional, but it really helps. It helps me in terms of giving, you know, your food color and flavor. So I'm adding about half a tablespoon of tomato powder because I like the color that it gives my spices. So the only thing I'm not adding once again is the salt, because I like to control that, because we cook a lot of vegetables and grains, and you really have to be careful about, you know, your salt and when to add them. So I like to know that my seasoning is just for flavor and for nutrients, and the salt I will add later. So the next step, once you basically, you know, just stir all your powders and granules, is to, I'm using a much bigger glass jar because the all-season spice is a lot more. And so I'm going to just pour it in here. Make sure it's all in there. And this is what we're working with. So I like these because it keeps it sealed and it keeps it fresh for the duration of time that, you know, it's in the pantry. So that's the all-purpose. Okay, so we're now down to our third and final seasoning, and it's a seafood mix. And again, we're plant-based, and this, I've given this to my friends that are meat eaters and that cook, you know, traditional foods, and they love to add this to fish especially. So what I do for fish is I either use mushroom or either what is it, lion's mane mushroom, or oh my goodness, I'm forgetting, hemp heart. Oh my goodness, yeah, hemp heart, when I want to do seafood. So this is nori powder. Nori is nori is a seaweed, so it's part of the, it's packed with nutrition, and this is the exact powder that I'm using. And so it's dehydrated and it's organic. And so I use that to give it the smell and the texture. Well, the texture comes from the mushroom or the meat replacement, but it comes very close. So what this entails is nori powder, ground ginger, onion powder, parsley, and a little bit of basil and garlic. And oh my goodness, it just smells like the ocean. So if you don't like seafood, if you don't like sea moss, you might not like nori, but you know, it's fish. It's supposed to smell like, you know, the ocean. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of this nori powder, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, 1 tablespoon of ginger. Like I said, we like ginger, so for you that might be maybe a quarter or half. Half a teaspoon, I was saying tablespoon. 1/2 teaspoon of this basil, dried basil from our garden. I like to add parsley, and I'm gonna grab my garlic powder. The parsley is flaky, so that's the only thing that's not powdered. And because it's fish, I'm gonna add a little bit of that habanero powder. And I probably did mention it before, but I really do like it to be a little bit spicy, and it gives it a little bit of color. And then we're going to do black pepper. Again, I closed it, so now I have to fight to open it. Sorry. Okay, here we go. About 1/4 teaspoon. And then we give that a quick mix. It's gonna turn out to be more green because the nori powder is the star. It's a seafood mix, so most of your seafood seasonings are not going to be looking green, right? Are not going to look like this. but this is supposed to be nutrient dense and a little bit, you know, different, and, you know, an option. So once I give that a good stir for about maybe like, you know, 30 to 45 seconds, the next part is to decant it. It smells so good. If you like that type of, you know, seafood, might make you sneeze a lot because it's a lot of blending. But so I have my container here, and I'm just going to pour it. Make sure it's all in there. Okay, and this is what the final one looks like. Okay, there. So here we are, guys. We have all three of our seasonings. This is the Umani mushroom seasoning. This is the seafood made with nori powder, and this is the all-purpose that I'm going to use throughout the holidays. So I hope that inspires you to either consider making your own, or try these. No, these are very helpful. Like if you need habanero powder, these are very handy for your pantry. And I'll be talking about what should be in modern day person's pantry, especially if you're plant-based. Especially if you're plant-based, what should be in your pantry, because as a plant-based or someone who is living the homestead life, you have to be organized and make sure that you have all your supplies in stock. And the most important thing is to know what you're eating, what's in it, and where it comes from. And if it comes from your backyard or your balcony garden, or you know, your neighbor's garden, or anywhere, it is absolutely the best. So thank you for joining me. I hope this was interesting. I'll see you in my next video. Have a happy Thanksgiving. See you next time. Bye.